All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy January 7th today, 2025.
How's that sound like?
Unbelievable.
Does that sound like a noisemaker?
Yeah, what? No, that's not me. Is that you? What is
Yeah,
that?
of course it's me.
That's
Listen,
not
I'm not good at a lot of things, Cap,
maybe it's
but I can make noise.
it's aliens from outer space. It's those it's those those what you call it, flying over Jersey.
Yeah, it's my way of being like a goal, like
Yeah.
in a hockey game, a goal. Like
Yeah, it's the drones from Jersey. But anyway, see, man, Happy New Year. How was your Christmas? How was your
Happy New Year, my man. Good. You know, it was like the beginning of the year was good, but I caught a cold, man. I'm like everybody else.
Yeah,
it's
man.
like negative ice balls up here already.
Ugh.
I mean, winter missed us for the last 3 years, and now it caught up with us, man.
Yeah.
It's cold and snowy in upstate New York, brother.
Well, yeah, that's a shocker. I mean, we went up to New York. We went up to Dobbs Ferry and hung out there, and we had dinner, and with the family. It was awesome with the boys, and then we went up to Johnson and Wales, and we got to see the boys up there, and my nephew and his kids and his wife. It was awesome. And then I got back, and I was definitely under the weather. So New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I was just out. I was out, man. So I was just it was just a tough part of to start the year. But you know what? So goodbye 2024. Wasn't such a hot year. Let's hope 2025 turns into something better.
You got it.
But and the bowl games, like we're talking about, the NFL, who the heck knows? At least everything's all set now for the games that really matter. So it was kind of strange. Like let's start with the NFL. The NFL is pretty much any surprises that you think, Z-Man, or anything that you saw that you're like, wow, I didn't realize that would happen. Or
well, like one of the things, like like the normal fan talks about teams that tank at the end of the year,
exactly, yep,
and stuff like that. But you know what? It was good to see like teams like the Patriots and per se the Giants, like actually like play.
Okay,
you know what? Because you're supposed to play to win the game.
I'm glad you brought up the Patriots. I mean, what the hell is that? Mayo, right? Mayo, the coach Mayo, he was doing a excellent job. Now, listen, I don't know. Was he not doing things he should have been? Right.
You know, I think he was doing a little bit over his head.
Well, that's possible, but still, I mean, boom, he was gone 10 minutes after the game ended, and they won. So, listen, I don't know what's going on up there. Like everybody says,
they lost by winning. They lost the number 1 overall draft pick.
Well, did they discuss that? Did they discuss that? Did they try to say, hey, listen, let's try to not win this game? I don't know.
Well, you know, I don't believe that. Especially like in football, I don't believe that anybody tries to like lose a game.
Right.
You know what, though?
Exactly.
Because there's too much at stake for these guys.
Absolutely.
These guys have cameras on them 24/7.
They're fighting for their jobs.
At the facility or at the game in the stadium, they're playing for their job, and they're not like now. Human nature. Are there guys maybe that don't play as hard as others? Let's say they're on guaranteed contracts. They're like 6-7 year veterans. Yeah, that probably happens.
Yeah, they're superstars.
But for the most part, these guys don't throw games. They play hard.
Exactly.
And it was good to see like teams like the Patriots, like the Giants,
even the Jets.
Like the Jaguars played well. They went to overtime in the last game. The Jets played hard. The Raiders played hard at the end of it. It's just good to see. So that where it doesn't surprise me, it does, because like I said, the normal fan doesn't see it that way. Yeah. And they start screaming like, why you tank to get a better draft? No way, man.
I know.
Put the game out.
Yeah.
So that was good, man. And like you said, you touched on the Jets, man. It was good to see the Jets finish on a high note.
Yeah, and I didn't realize Aaron Rodgers 500 TDs. That was a nice thing. And
not only that, he had 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He had 503 or 504.
And he's another guy. Like you talk about things. Like let's go down the Jets avenue for a second. Like here's a guy that I'm not saying is playing for a job, because the Jets are screwed no matter what with
Oh,
this guy or
they're a
without him
mess. Yep.
because of the salary cap implications. These guys, the Jets are going to be screwed whether this guy plays next year or not. The salary implications, like for 25 and 26, the total overall like dead cap money is going to be somewhere between 50 and 60 million dollars. So they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. But to come out in a 425 game against the Dolphins, who are playing for something somewhat,
They
because at
were.
that time
Beginning
when
of
the
this,
game went off, them and the
Denver.
Bengals had already won.
Right. Bengals
So
won. Yep.
right, it came down to the Dolphins and the Broncos.
Yep.
So I mean, they had something to play for, but the Jets played hard and they played well.
Yeah, no, they did. I mean, you're right. It's hard to kind of figure out. I mean, the way that the playoffs shook out is pretty much what everybody kind of expected. I mean, teams like Minnesota and Washington were a little bit of a surprise this year that they wouldn't do as well, but during the
Exactly.
season they kept it
And the
going.
Broncos.
Yeah, and the Broncos. There you go.
Yep,
The
that's a big surprise.
Broncos was huge for the Broncos.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this when we get into the pick segment.
Right.
But you know what? And again, it's like we as fans don't know as much as like player personnel people, coaches. It just goes to show you what Sean Payton saw and Bo Nix and the rest of that team. And like last year, he took his lumps by benching Russell Wilson and
Right.
eating the cap money. And then, like, to where they got to this year, I mean, it's just like these guys know what they're doing.
Well, and they have an owner that trusts them. These owners in NFL, they get rid of coaches immediately, and they don't trust these guys who are, basically Hall of Fame type coaches, like Belichick, for instance. I'm still shocked Belichick's not in the NFL.
But
And
you know what? And that's a good point, Joe. You make
Yeah.
a really solid point. I'm not so sure he won't be back in the NFL.
Oh no,
soon.
I think he
Because the
will.
way his contract is worded with North Carolina,
Oh yeah, he's out of
you
there.
can basically get out of that for like pennies on the dollar.
Oh no question.
Like I think it's $5 million,
No
and we
question.
take pennies on the dollar, like $5 million.
Yep.
Well, you know what? To a team that wants him to coach, here you're going to see him back. If not this year, then next year he'll be
No
back.
question. No question. So, what did you think about the bowls now? Do you think that the new format was good, was horrible, or somewhere in between? What do you think?
I think it's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's like we'll talk about like the college playoff first.
Right.
I think the college playoff overall it works because it was due and you needed it.
Right.
You needed to get like some law and order to pick a national champion because now you're going to decide it on the field. But the way you're going to decide it needs work because you like of the 4 teams that got first round buys, none of them made it out of the second round.
Right. Exactly.
That's
what I'm saying.
When you're the number 1 team in the country and you're Oregon and your first round game is Ohio State, that you got to talk about that.
Yeah.
What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to reseed.
Yeah.
When you get your 12 playoff teams, you've got to seed them like 1 to 12.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that the winner of certain conferences should
Like
get a bye.
FMU at Boise State.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on.
Like you can't though. Like SMU was overmatched against Penn State.
Yep.
They got behind quickly, and then they had to play catch up. And the brand of football, I'm not taking anything away from SMU because they're going to have, like people don't realize, they're going to arguably have one of the front runners for the Heisman next year in their quarterback, Kevin Jennings. they're bringing back a crew, and that team's going to be good.
Right.
But do they match up with a Big Ten team
No.
like Penn State? Penn State was defensively dominant in that game.
Exactly. I mean,
And SMU really didn't do anything until late in the fourth quarter.
I think the SEC and the Big Ten are head and shoulders above. All right, the Big 12 is not bad, but they're not as good as the SEC and the Big Ten. So the Big Ten and the SEC should get higher seeds regardless.
Well, regardless, and not only that, you're gonna like you said, you like they set this up for the Power Five conferences, who are all controlled by ABC, ESPN,
Right.
and Fox. Other than Notre Dame, all those conferences are controlled by Disney and Fox, which is another story for another day.
Right.
And it's going to be very difficult for, say, like the SMUs, the Boise States. Like this year, you could throw in, say, like Army. There was a couple of those outlying programs that were good. It's going to be difficult for them to get into this dance. So if you're going to have it stacked the way you want it, then you've got to make it the way that people are going to want to see it.
Yeah.
And especially for like TV. But overall, I think that this playoff format is going to work.
All right. Well, we shall see. We shall
But
see.
it brings us to a bigger question, which is all the other bowl games and all the other teams that play in these bowl games. The NCAA has to take an extremely hard look at the NIL licensing, the way they do it, and the transfer portal. Because what a lot of people aren't realizing is when these bowl games finally come and they play, let's take like Syracuse. Okay, so Syracuse played Washington State. On paper, when they put those two teams together, that was an excellent bowl game. Then, all of a sudden, Washington State's quarterback jumps the portal and transfers, which brings them.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which brings this game now. It brings it from, like, say, a 1AA type NCAA bowl game. It brings it to like an average bowl game at best.
Yep. And
what's going to happen, Joe, is when all these bowls are decided, like let's just say like North Texas State's going to play like Army and the Joe Cat Bowl in Charlotte or wherever. So when the NCAA tries to put these bowl games together and like, oh, this is going to be a good game, like 2 10-3 teams or whatever, then all of a sudden these guys start jumping into the portal and transferring, or they sit down because they don't want to play because they want to hurt their NFL stock.
Yep.
What it's going to do is it's going to start destroying these bowl games because now these teams, say from like the north, where they have a destination of going to like Jacksonville or Charlotte or Dallas or San Diego or Los Angeles or Las Vegas, where these are destination cities, a lot of people are going to pull back now on these games because these guys aren't going to play in it.
Right.
And it affects not only the teams, it affects the TV market, which affects the advertising,
And
which affects the
what
city
else?
that sells tickets,
And what else?
hotel rooms,
And what else?
and the gambling
Thank
part.
you. You got it.
And the gambling
That's
part.
the huge part of it too, is
Yep.
the gambling part of it. And that's
And-
where this gets a little dicey. I mean,
And this is going to start really
yeah.
affecting like the NCAA. And don't be surprised if this off season after the College Bowl, and then they have like the Hula Bowl now for the seniors or whatever, and they're going to play these like bowl all-star games. You're going to see you're going to have to see change, because if you don't, a lot of these bowl games are going to go by the wayside.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speaking of bowl games, Z-Man, let's go over your picks. How did you do over the holidays?
Well, Joe, I'm glad that you asked. Well, this is how we did. In our 12 bowl games for Christmas, I threw in one of those first college football playoff games. I threw in a side and a total. So we finished at 6-7 in the bowl games. But our last NFL picks on week like 17, the week before the final week, we went 5-1. So
There you
we
go.
went, Joe, a documented 48-27, which was, Joe, 64% winners
That is
on
a
the
winning.
regular season.
Those are winning numbers.
And Joe, if anybody wants to debate us on our record, they can go to our YouTube page, Off the Chest, and they can listen to old episodes of what we did, and they're going to see that we were spot on, Joe.
And if they went with you all season long, Z-Man, these people would be
money.
in the money. In the money.
And I'm going to give them a chance, Joe.
Yes.
And for the playoffs, I'm going to give people a chance right now to get their pen and paper, and we're going to finish with another episode of our Run to the End Zone, sponsored by the End Zone, 227 Park Avenue. Thank you, everybody. See, Joe, when these people are clapping and stuff,
yes, it's our studio audience.
Buying the Bears. Joe.
Well, yes.
Joe, does this
buy Z-Man beers, please.
NIL money?
What's that?
Does this podcast have NIL money?
Not yet. We're working on it.
To buy me beers?
Not yet, but we're working on it.
All right. So let's fire up the Wayback Machine, and here we go. First, Joe, we're going to start off with the college football semifinals.
Let's go.
This Thursday, we have Notre Dame, a 1.5 favorite against Penn State. We're going to side with Notre Dame. They showed me a lot in beating Georgia. They're just as physical on both sides of the ball as any team in the country. And I think in this game, Joe, the bet is on the quarterbacks. Notre Dame has Riley Leonard, who played in 2 big bowl games when he was at Duke, and now he's playing very well for Notre Dame. And I think the bet is Notre Dame will travel very well to Miami for the Orange Bowl. They always do.
They travel very well everywhere. Yep.
So it's going to be not like a home game to them, but it's going to be a pro Notre Dame crowd. So I'm going to lay the 1.5 and take Notre Dame.
Okay.
And on Friday, Joe,
yes, sir,
it's Ohio State versus Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and that's at Jerry World. Right now, Ohio State is a 6-point favorite over Texas. And for our off-the-chest fans, I'm taking Texas +6. And my play is twofold and simple. One, the game is going to be played at Jerry World. That's 100,000 seats. Texas is going to have 85 to 90% of that crowd because it's in Dallas.
Absolutely.
So that you can't tell me that that's not going to play a factor in the game. Also, my main reason, though, for taking Texas in this game is the battle of the quarterbacks. People forget that Will Howard is the quarterback at Ohio State, and he played for 3 years at Kansas State, which was in the Big 12 when Texas was in the Big 12. So you're not going to get any surprises if you're Texas from this quarterback.
Right.
And I think if you look at Texas's quarterback, Quinn Ewers, he's like a roller coaster, up and down. And the last game, he wasn't great against Arizona State, but he had enough. So now, with another week to prepare, knowing that he's going to have the crowd behind him, we're going to side with Texas +6 against Ohio State. So, colleges, give me Notre Dame 1.5. Give me Texas +6. In the pros, it's going to be a wild card weekend. It's always wild this first weekend. So the Saturday games, you had the Chargers 2.5 at the Texans. I just think this game is a tale of two teams going in opposite directions.
Yep.
The Chargers are playing well. They played well in Las Vegas the last game of the season, and Jim Harbaugh is a tremendous coach. So to me, that's worth the 2.5. We're going to lay the 2.5. The Chargers versus the Texans. And the night game, it's the Ravens and the Steelers. Right now, the Ravens are 9.5-point favorites. Now, Joe, are you guys supposed to have weather this weekend?
We are supposed to have a snowstorm in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know what a snowstorm is in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Tell me.
2 to 5 inches.
So that's really nothing.
It is nothing anywhere else north of North Carolina. It is, but in Charlotte, it is a blizzard.
So I'm not going to worry about the weather. I'm taking the Steelers 9.5 over the Ravens. Now the Steelers may not win this game, and they haven't been playing really well down the stretch. But it's a divisional game in the playoffs, and divisional games are always played hard. And 9.5 points is a lot, Joe.
That's a lot of points.
So give me the Steelers in that game.
Yeah, I would take
now
the.
Going to Sunday, the opening game Sunday, the Bills and the Broncos. The Broncos are 9-point underdogs against the Bills. Joe, I'm taking that 9 all day.
Yeah, they're going to.
If you're in a game, a winner-take-all game, that's a lot of points.
Yeah. So you taking Denver with? And is that what you're saying?
Denver with the 9.
Oh,
yeah,
I disagree, but okay.
Oh, you know what, Joe? It's just when you look at it, betting is a situational game,
right?
And you know what? The Bills basically rested a lot of their guys on Sunday against the Patriots.
I see what you mean.
The Broncos had to play their way in, so I'm going to take that edge and give me the 9, and I'm going to take the Broncos.
You got it.
This next pick, the Eagles and the Packers, is really hurting me. The Packers lost one of their major weapons.
I saw that.
And Watson.
Oh.
And he stretches the field for them.
Yep.
And that's a big loss not having him.
Huge loss.
So I shouldn't say this. It's blasphemy. We're probably going to get a lot of emails, people going after me. But I'm going to lay the points, 4.5 with the Eagles, with a caveat.
And here's the thing. If
Hurts doesn't play.
Right.
If he plays, then I really believe that the Eagles are a better team this year than the Packers are.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I'll have to eat crow because I think the Packers can beat them. I think the Packers are going to keep this game close anyways, but I just think the Eagles are a better team at home. So I'm going to side with the Eagles. And then the night game, it's the Buccaneers 3 against the Commanders. I don't really have a good side either side. I can make a case for both. So I looked at the total, and the total is 50. Give me the over.
Okay.
Because if you get in a 28-24 game, that's 52. That clears your total. So I'm going to take the total in this game. Give me the over 50.5. And on Monday night, Vikings-Rams, give me the Rams. I'll take the home dog at 1.5. You know what? The Vikings got exposed on Sunday night by the Lions. If you pressure Sam Darnold,
Darnold was
get him off his mark.
He was seeing ghosts. Yep.
He's got that happy feet.
Yep.
And I just think the Rams have enough offense to stay close with the Vikings. They're the home team. I'll take the Rams. So we'll recap.
Right. We'll recap.
In college, give me Notre Dame 1.5. Give me Texas +6. Then in the pros, I'll take the Chargers at 2.5, the Steelers at 9.5, the Broncos at 9. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with the Eagles. We're going to go over 50.5 between the Bucks and the Commanders, and I'll take the Rams as a home dog, 1.5, and that's my run to the end zone.
All right, Z-Man. Thank you, Z-Man.
Well, have all the people that are winning money on our picks, Joe, thank me by buying me beers this weekend.
Yes. Buy beers at the end zone and
227 Park Avenue, Mechanicsville.
Let's go and go there and say hi to everybody and tell everybody that we listen to Off the Chest with Z-Man, Joe Cap, and Jake. Jake's not here today, by the way. Jake is
some people,
got a game tonight, so they're starting their
Podcasts are
conference.
how are they doing?
They're doing okay. They've been playing out of conference. They got back from Hawaii. We talked about that, and now they're starting the conference. So they play a tough out of conference schedule. So I think that maybe we're a little under 500, maybe these out of conference games. But now is when the season begins. So hopefully we'll start to get
with
rock and roll.
basketball. With how about college basketball right now, man? Spend a couple minutes. Have you been paying any attention?
I have. I've been watching. Kansas has been kind of up and down. Usually I follow Kansas.
How about the SEC? If they're not as good in football as they are, the SEC has 6 teams in the top 10.
Yeah, and South Carolina is not even in the top 20, and they only got like 2 or 3 losses.
Yep.
So SEC's tough.
How about Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M are all in the top 10.
Unbelievable.
Basketball.
Well,
college basketball's different though now too, Joe.
Yeah,
because these guys, all they want to really do is go up and down the floor, shoot threes.
Well, and the transfer portal, same thing. So
that's right. Yep. Great point.
Yeah, no, and nobody stays 4 years. You don't have these great teams anymore. It's really like one and dones, and then you got some superstars.
As you know, because your son played at Manhattan, like that middle America, that mid-conference basketball team in the NCAA, it's going to make it difficult for those teams to get to the tournament too.
Yeah,
with this transfer portal, because these guys, they're just going to big schools where they can make these super teams and they can just, make their way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's changed the whole landscape. This whole college sports, football and basketball landscape has completely changed over the last 10, 20 years as far as that. Now the NIL and the gambling has completely spun it around. So it's very hard to see. And then these coaches, who can stay and deal with it, who can't, it is what it is. That's why they get paid big,
and you're going to
money.
start seeing a lot more bad stuff than good stuff, Joe.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
NIL and the gambling, you're just waiting for another debacle of a point shaving scandal. It's due to happen, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The money's just too big.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our rant of the week. So you guys out there listening, we need some more rants. We got Tony the Mustache again today, but we want you guys out there to send something in to our email, offthechest84@yahoo.com. And tell us
again, Joe.
Off the chest 84@yahoo.com and say, hey, I want to be on the show. I want to do I want to do a rant about something. We
want people, Joe. We want different people to do rants.
Let's go.
It gives us something to talk about. And the rants, that we've been getting are actually really good. And I think this rant is another good one, right?
Tony the Mustache is the king. He's the king of baseball. He is the king
of baseball.
And this is right up his alley about the Hall of Fame. All right, Tony, let's hear what you got to say.
Tony Mustache coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. Today I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. For me, the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's lost all credibility. Certain people that they've let in over the years, people that they did not let in and still haven't. But in particular, let's talk about Bobby Doerr and Bill Mazeroski. 2 second basemen. Bobby Doerr was with the Red Sox back in the 40s. Mazeroski, a Pirate. Mazeroski's in because he had a home run to beat the Yankees in 1960. Good ball player, not a Hall of Famer. Bobby Doerr. Okay, Bobby Doerr was a second baseman for the Red Sox. I met Bobby Doerr. Great guy. Good ball player. Hall of Famer? No. Okay, stand in Times Square for 10 hours and you won't find enough people that ever heard of Bobby Doerr to start a check again. Okay, Bobby Doerr is in the Hall of Fame for one reason and one reason only, and that reason is Ted Williams. Ted Williams was his buddy. He was on the Veterans Committee, and he pushed very heavily to get Bobby Doerr in the Hall of Fame. Okay, I'm going to talk about 2 recent guys from when I was a kid. Okay, Willie Randolph, Frank White. Look at Randolph, White, Mazeroski and Dorr. Their stats are almost identical. Frank White and Willie Randolph will never be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think they should be, but neither should Maz and neither should Bobby Dorr. Now, with the upcoming election for the Hall of Fame in 2025, the list is going to be a little bit longer than in past years. There's arguments to be made for everybody, but there's one guy, to me, is a slam dunk, has to get in, Ichiro Suzuki. The rest, you could do what you want. But the Hall of Fame, to me, has lost all its credibility. That's my opinion. Signing off from Brooklyn, New York, Tony Mustache, wishing you the best.
All right, Tony, thank you very much for that. Now, we're talking about the Hall of Fame and who should be in, who should be out. What are your guys, Z-Man, that you think should be in or shouldn't be in even?
Well, I think from the new guys, Joe, that are on the ballot this year, I think there's two no-brainers. I think CC Sabathia should be in,
Absolutely.
and Ichiro should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
All right, Ichiro. Tony had mentioned Ichiro right at the end. I'm glad you mentioned Ichiro. Ichiro, to me, is up there with the best baseball players that I've seen in my lifetime. Now, I've seen some great ball players growing up. You and me and Z-Man, and you guys out there listening. I saw the tail end of Willie Mays.
The Turtle, Dan Brisson.
Yeah.
We saw the nowhere man, Jeff Bravalli.
Yes.
We see some of the greatest amateur baseball players of all time.
Yes, we have. We've seen them all. But Ichiro, to me, is in that where he at one point was the best player in baseball. Now, people forget, he is the hitting king. Pete Rose is the MLB hit king. But Ichiro has, 4,800 hits or something crazy like that.
With Japan.
Because he played in Japan. And now, this guy, 5'2", if he hit for power, he could hit for power if he wanted to.
Do whatever.
Fast as lightning.
The three guys that you could talk about were Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, and Ichiro.
There you go.
For our time.
There you go.
These guys are legendary. When players talk about what these guys could do, what they did before games, their work ethic, like Boggs and Gwynn were pure hitters. Well, Ichiro was too, but all of them possessed a modicum of power. They could have been power hitters. They could have dove in runs. Like they were all 5-tool players. Except for Boggs basically running. But the other two,
the only thing running. Well,
Ichiro, those
Ichiro
guys, they could do it all, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what the best thing I love about Ichiro? He wore number 51. Do you know why he wore number 51?
No, tell me.
Bernie Williams.
Really?
I swear to you, Bernie Williams was his idol. Can you imagine Ichiro's idol was Bernie Williams? That's why he wore 51.
I did. You know what, Joe? I did not know this.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, like who's that? Like Artie Johnson on left end.
But yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, but he that's why he wore 51 because I was, I remember him, obviously he didn't speak English, I don't think at all, but I remember they asked him.
That's another thing. These guys are all like, even like Otani, these guys speak English.
Oh yeah, now they do.
Want to.
Oh. And you know what I loved? Who was the player in the Yankees? He only spoke Spanish and Japanese and no English. And they had to interpret. And when they got, who did they get? The Yankees got that pitcher. No, before was it Max? Nope. No, before. No, way before. That first Arabu. When they got Arabu, he was the interpreter. He was the interpreter through Spanish, not even English. So they would talk to. He would talk to them and talk to him in Japanase, and then he'd talk back, and he would have to translate it to Spanish, and then a Spanish guy would have to translate it to English. That is hysterical. That is just who was the guy now? I'm thinking. I can't think of it.
Wait, was Rabu and then Tanaka?
He was traded for A-Rod to Texas. Oh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here, and I see his face and everything. He was 40-40 guy. I don't know if he's 40-40, but he was 40 home run guy for the Yankees, and they traded him for A-Rod, in the A-Rod deal, and he was crying. He came up with the Yankees. Sirianno. God darn it. Couldn't think of his name. There you go.
Yeah.
Z-Man.
Yeah.
That's why you're the Z-Man. You have that information in there.
Well, you know what? I just think of all our guys that are going to be listening, and they're going to be screaming at us if we don't come up with this stuff.
Dumbasses.
It won't give us any credibility. Joe, do you realize pitchers and catchers are less than a month?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm glad you mentioned that. So one thing I miss about New York, the Open Pro, obviously many things, but driving down to Deegan by Yankee Stadium and just seeing every day the days that how many days before pitchers and catchers
at Yankee Stadium. Yep.
That's something I miss.
And there's still, teams are still not done. There's a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely.
With free agents, the Yankees, the Mets.
Oh yeah, we'll get into it
today. That's talked about Pete Alonso, and his options are getting limited. And
he's got to sign with the Mets.
I agree with you.
He's got to sign with the Mets. The Mets have to sign him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because he is Mr. Met right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too crazy right now about baseball, but who is going to protect Soto on the Mets? Who? Nobody.
I agree. I agree.
That's why I got to sign Alonso. At least
there's still a lot of players out there that have to be signed.
Oh yeah.
And going forward in the next couple of weeks, that hot stove off the chest is going to get a lot of fire.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm loving what the Yanks are doing so far. A couple of more deals, and then I'm good. And Mets, like I said, you got to sign Alonso. I mean, I'm not really too impressed with what the Mets are doing. Well, obviously, but besides Soto, they've got to be able to do something to protect Soto, or they're going to be in trouble.
I totally agree. And coming forward, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yep.
Couple of quick things, Joe, before we get out of here. We'll do a quick whip around.
Go ahead.
Do you think the Indians would buy the New York Rangers hockey team from Manhattan?
The Cleveland Indians?
The Indians.
Oh,
do you think they would buy the Rangers?
Oh, I see where you're going. I was wondering what the hell you're talking about. The Rangers right now, I don't even want to talk about them right now. We have to wait and see what happens because they are in complete free fall. Yeah. They're talking about trading Kreider, and I mean it's absolutely insane how they have fallen, and it's almost like they're a car wreck, and you just can't look because it's so bad. But let's give it a little bit more time because they did win the other night 6-2. They beat the Blackhawks, but I don't care.
Yeah, but the Blackhawks are the worst team in hockey.
But the Rangers are the worst team in hockey for a long time, and they will lose it to the worst teams in hockey. So let's not even go there. And one other.
The Knicks are heating up.
The Knicks, yeah. The one thing I want to say about the Knicks were playing fantastic. They went into Oak City, and they ran out of gas in Oak City. They were there for 3.5 quarters.
On that road trip,
So, of course, then they lost the next 2 games. They need bench help. They need guys to get healthy. They need Mitchell Robinson.
I agree, Joe. That's a really astute point.
Yeah.
They've got to find across the NBA or over in wherever they have to go,
they
need bench help.
Yeah, they got to get bench help. I mean, certain guys are just not cutting it. And let's face it, they just need guys to get healthy. Once they get healthy and they can get some bench help, I'll feel a little bit better. But they were, 9 in a row, whatever they were, until they got to OKC. And then right now, OKC is unbelievable. They got a great team, and they got draft picks, and they got youth. They seem like they got everything going on. So,
yeah, the NBA's got some teams. Look it up. This second half is going to be a really good, second half of the NBA season.
Yeah,
college basketball starting to come into full swing too. And 2 other things I wanted to touch on real quick.
Go ahead.
The sports world lost 2 great ones. Ricky Henderson as our last show. We didn't really get a chance to talk about him, and Greg Gumbel too.
Yes.
Greg Gumbel was one of my favorite announcers.
Yep. Excellent.
To listen to.
Excellent. He was a pro's pro. He was excellent doing football games. And these guys went way too soon.
NCAA college basketball, the selection show, the NCAA tournament, doing games. Greg Gumbel was he was a pro's pro. You're right.
Yeah, it makes us wonder, and you just. It's tough to see these guys go.
Man. We got to start, not to get off on political tangents, man. We got to do a better job of finding cures.
Wow.
We just that's another story for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole
just-
nother ball game.
It's beginning to it's cut to our core, man.
Yeah.
In this country, we're just everyday people, man. We're losing them in our lives,
Yeah.
left and right from this dreaded disease, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
We got,
let's
you
hope.
know-
Let's hope and pray. That's all we can do right now.
That's it,
Because
kid.
we sure as hell ain't no medical people, and we sure as hell ain't medical researchers, so we can't find a cure for this stuff.
Well,
But
we are the doctors of the Oswego State podcast for the people, Joe.
That's
for
right.
the people.
Yes,
and
for
don't
the
forget
people.
to get back to us off the chest 84 at yahoo.com.
that's
Joe
right,
Gaff.
everybody out there who
Hello.
listening. We want to hear from you and let us know what you want to
We
talk
want some rants, Joe.
Yeah, what do you want us to talk about? What do you want us to go nuts about? I mean, there's plenty out there, so just let us know. All right, Z-Man, so once again, great to hear from you. Let's have a great 2025. Good luck with your picks this weekend, and let's watch a ton of football, and I'll see you on the other side, Z-Man.
You got it, Joe Cap. Good
All
to
right.
be back with you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.